Welcome to the studio, Amanda Brinkman.
Happy to be back.
My gosh, you're going to think that you're my new co-host.
I would love that.
That would be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
No, you have no idea how much I would love that. That's true. I think it's like your third time on the show, maybe.
I like being here. You're fun to talk to.
Oh, thanks,
and
man.
I just like your voice.
You know, sweet. Last night in the last episode, which would be the 8th episode, but it was the Wabash finale, or what do you call it?
We call it finale, but I don't know. It could be something more fancy.
Yeah, I was going to say. But anyway, in that one, it was so wild watching that. Because the other thing where there's parts of me, the parts where I'm saying, "Good morning, Wabash. Make sure you head downtown to blah blah blah." I'm not going to give away all the secrets, but that was, we worked on that a little bit.
Yep.
And then the transitions, truly, just so everybody understands. I mean, that took a little bit of time, even for me, because everybody's like, "Oh, you're a natural, you can do all that." Man, I mean, it takes time because Matt wanted it a specific way. Mm-hmm. Well, you probably went through that with them too. So everything was like that. But what was so cool is when you broke away to the part where you and Robert are in here with me, I had to go, wait a minute, that was live. Mm-hmm. It was really cool.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, you did a great job with the transitions. We get a lot of feedback on what a cool device that was. So
Thanks.
that was Matt's idea, and it's a very cool device. It is. It just kind of gives that in the town vibe, and it's a really nice way of transitioning us into another scene or another visit or another scene, if you will, in a way that just kind of feels authentic to Wabash. So. And you did a great job with the intros and the commercials, too.
I appreciate that. Thanks. I get so many, like this morning, hey, I was just watching TV and I saw the commercial. So let's talk about that before we get into, the exit interview about this whole small business revolution. We've talked a lot about how we got into it, how Wabash won, and what kind of things you've been doing. If you watch the episodes, you know what Deluxe has done for us. You know what the town has done. I guess the stuff that we don't know about is how did you market this thing? Because we keep hearing more and more things. Like I got a Facebook message from somebody in Vegas, and they're like, "Hey, we saw this thing. We heard your voice." Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
Well, one of the things is we don't invest a lot in advertising. We have a very low kind of marketing budget, and that's part of where this idea came from is, how can we do something that people will want to actively spend time with? And that was true of the Small Business Revolution in year one when we did the 100 stories, and we think that's true of it this year. We feel like if you do something authentic and purposeful and you lead with people first and helping, people will want to spend time with it. Journalists will find that interesting because a lot of brands don't do that, or they might start out like that and then they commercialize it at some point. But, we never asked anything of the town of Wabash or the business owners. We just wanted to help. And I think people can sense that authenticity of it, and then they share it. And then you hear from people all across the country. And so the marketing of it has been very light, if you will. Again, we've invested our money in the filming and in the town here. And so we've done some commercial buys, so TV, some radio, some other things, but it really has. We've been relying on kind of what we call earned media, so getting articles written about it and people sharing it on social media, and that's why it's so important that everyone from Wabash share it with friends and family here in Wabash, but outside of it as well, because every share counts. Because you never know when that next share is going to turn into 10, which will turn into 10. So.
Okay, so back to the whole Vegas thing, and I mean, how'd you choose what cities you're going to buy TV in?
We didn't buy TV in Vegas.
So, okay, how'd they see that then?
So they either saw it through an article that was written about it, or they might have seen it on someone, in social. One of the things that is going on right now is people are talking a lot about the nominations for next year. So some cities are doing local media stories on that. If in Vegas they saw it at the end of September, that was one of the affiliates that we did a satellite media tour with. So when we were in New York, we did 52 different interviews, and some of those are satellite media interviews where different TV stations are calling in. Okay. And you've seen that on TV before when they're like, we're going to go to New York and talk to Robert and Amanda Brinkman. And then you see the two screens together. We call those satellite media tours. But
it's like on Fort Wayne every day, several times a day. Is this a favor for you or what?
No. I think they're excited for you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really literally on all the time. I'm getting ready to watch Kiefer Sutherland's new show, The Designated Survivor.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And there it is. It's like,
Yeah.
this is so cool.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that we do with our media buy, our paid media buy, is we buy live events. While Designated Survivor is not necessarily one, we buy during news programs, sporting events, and kind of late night talk shows, because those are traditionally programs that you have on in the background and keep running even during the commercials. But if you think about a lot of our TV consuming habits now as a society, we do a lot of DVRing. And so, you'll record something and then you'll fast forward through the commercial. So we like to buy a lot of live stuff. So I think that's also why people feel like they're seeing it quite a bit.
I just love all the comments, though, that, all the surprise of people. And, it's like, wait, I just heard you. And, oh, my gosh, I just saw that guy that, I just saw Harry and I just saw Judy. So thank you for all of that you've done. I mean, it's been an amazing situation. And it doesn't take us to be math wizards. But this $500,000 in what, there's no way you've even come, you're way beyond that. I mean, if you add up all the stuff, I mean, am I right? Or
well, we don't put a value necessarily on the value of the PR or the commercials that we think of that as our paid media budget. Okay. But I think you're right. I think it's a greater prize than $500,000. And what I've been so impressed with, and from day one, is that, even Harry was saying this during some of the TV interviews the night that we were here to announce you guys had won, is you guys were so excited about the marketing piece. And most towns, I think, would be like, oh, we've got some cash coming our way. But everybody was so excited about genuinely getting better. Mm-hmm. And that was really rewarding, too, to know that this is going to be helpful. We're not just handing them a fish, we're teaching them to fish. And there's something really great about that. Then that was just yet another sign that we had picked the right town.
So if you come back and we watched the final episode last night and you see what we did on the corner here with the Mammoth Building lot and, Hoffman's, and you see all the different things that you did downtown and out at Harry's, I mean, how does that make you feel? I mean, what is that doing for you?
Yeah, this morning we drove past Eclectic Shop and past Ellen's, and my goodness, both of those storefronts are just looking beautiful, just like the interiors of those stores do. It just feels great. I said it last night too, but I'm very proud of this idea, but it wasn't until a whole team rallied around me and brought it to life that this could become something real. And what I think is so exciting is that everybody who's been a part of this has felt equally responsible for its success. And there's something great about that. That doesn't happen very often, where everyone who's touched it feels the same level of responsibility for it. Everyone's been really clear on what we're trying to do here from the very beginning. And so it feels great to see it, but it also, every time I see any of the changes, I'm just overcome with this sense of gratitude for how many people rallied around it and helped make it happen. Okay, but you had the 100-story thing last year, or the year before, whatever, and then you dove into this. Now that it's kind of over, now that it's kind of complete, or at least everybody's on their mission now and everybody's working towards the final goal, can you say, yeah, this is exactly what I dreamed, or wow, this turned into something different? How do you feel about that? I feel like it was even more successful than we thought. We knew that, we felt very, very passionate about the fact that small businesses in small towns specifically are struggling to compete. And so we knew and hoped that we could help with that. But we were hoping that we could help with that. It wasn't until we got here and really saw how willing the small businesses in town were how willing they were to change and how open they were to feedback, that we saw how impactful that really could be. And so I think, we have opened up nominations for next year. Mm-hmm. And we have nearly 12,000 nominations, wow. And we still have a couple days left. And we're hearing from a lot of people in their submissions. I watched the story of Wabash, and we see ourselves in that story. We're just like them, or we are struggling with those same things, or we're so inspired by what they were able to do, and we want to see that happen here. And so, I think that's part of it, is knowing that it's possible to change in that way. As you were going around picking the businesses that you did here and picking the projects and all of that, you obviously had ideas. Okay, these are the kind of episodes we want to do. This is kind of the feel we have. Will you do it the same way in this new town that wins, or what have you learned? Excellent question. So one of the things that we've learned is maybe a little bit more transparency around how the businesses are picked. I haven't heard a lot of feedback around that, but we just guessed that maybe people are wondering, how did you pick these 6 businesses? There's a lot of small businesses, obviously, in town. But one of the things is, as we were going out and scouting our finalist cities, we needed to make sure that there was going to be stories there. It couldn't just be small businesses that needed help. We needed stories that people were going to identify with. And we feel really confident that we did pick 6 stories. We're not just hearing, my goodness, that website you did for Ellen's is so great. We're hearing, wow, Lisa's an incredible business owner. It was so fun to watch her journey, or to watch her struggle, or to hear her say that she was maybe going to close her doors and now she has a renewed sense of ambition for her business. I mean, there's something about those stories that make you stick around for the lessons learned, and we really do want this to be a resource. So anyway, so we picked the businesses, even before we were here, or at least identified which ones they may be, and they needed to kind of be downtown. Here is the exception to that, but it's called the Main Street Revolution. So we really wanted it to kind of be in the downtown area. So that already narrowed how many businesses. And then there's a lot of businesses downtown that are doing really well already. Center Court Barbershop, Morelli's, the Francis Shop, they're already killing it. The antique, what's the
Crow's Nest?
Yes, yeah. I mean,
Bash Boutique.
Bash Boutique. People are coming in for these businesses already, and so we also needed to make sure that marketing was going to be as impactful as it could be for the businesses that we picked. But anyway, so next year we're going to just be a little bit more transparent about it. Maybe have a little bit of an application process. It won't feel Shark Tank-ish.
Okay.
We really don't want to introduce that element.
Speaking of that, though, is Robert going to be involved?
He will be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a little different capacity,
Okay.
but he will definitely still be involved. His celebrity has certainly drawn a lot of attention to the series, which is great for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so advice for the folks of Wabash. By the way, we're talking with Amanda Brinkman from Deluxe and Small Business Revolution. What advice, I guess, could you give now, again, the general population of Wabash to take this and go forward? Because this isn't it. I mean, it can't be it. We have to really move forward with this.
I think it's, kind of carefully watching the episodes and taking away those marketing lessons. We're proud of the fact that marketing really was a big need for all 6 of these businesses. And that's true across the country. I mean, you have to market yourself to be successful as a small business. It's just part of the formula. And I think it's about, even if you weren't one of the 6 businesses, how can you take advantage of the publicity around Wabash right now? How can you ride that wave? Is the saying, a tide rises all ships? Is that, I always mix those up, but is that how it
I think
that
was yours.
goes?
I'd never heard it until you. But
Oh, okay.
yeah. Yeah, so it's your quote. It's your quote. Yeah.
Dash Amanda Brinkman.
Yeah.
I've never had my own quote. That's pretty cool.
Well, maybe we can market one for you. Yeah, no, I'm just
So
kidding.
I would say that, below each of one thing too, I don't know if people realize, but below each of the episodes, we have these timestamps where we point out, why did we recommend a new menu, or why did we recommend a website, or why is it so important to be findable online, and how can you make sure your businesses. So while we had the marketing seminar for all the small businesses, even the episodes themselves below the player tray are, 5 or 6 different tips that you can see brought to life in the episode, but you can read more, and it's really rich case study content. So we hope that people do click on that and take advantage of learning from it.
Okay, let me see if I can not be like Steve Downs or even you and forget all 6 of these like you did last night. Let's start with the one you forgot, Harry's.
Yes.
Harry's got a simple menu right now. It's not the full menu that you guys got him that's online, that's in that beautifully printed menu. When does that next step go for him, do you think? Or what have you talked about with those guys? I
think whenever you start a restaurant, or in his case, transition into being one, there's just a little bit of time to figure out, even the flow and process of how you operate a kitchen. So we went there last night, and Harry and I were walking around and back, and he's like, now we're keeping the buns here. We used to keep them up there. We had the sauces over here, and now they're over here. Thinking about putting a fryer here. I mean, they've only been, cooking for, a little bit over a week. And so even that kind of stuff, just like logistics of cooking, are things that they're still working through. And I think I told him, I'm like, give yourself permission to not have figured all that out yet. That's okay. Like, you'll have plenty of time to fine tune your process back here. But, do feel good about the menu that you're putting out there. Make sure that it has things on it that you're confident you can either do from a process perspective or the quality of it is up to par. So
now in their piece, the main what I took from it is they needed to learn not how to be chefs, and I mean the business end of it. And I saw by the episode that you've had the accountant that's going to be working with them until the end of the year. That's a big piece for those guys. You know, they just got handed a kitchen basically in the dream, but they also have more costs now involved, and so they got to be able to know how to deal with that. So,
and we feel confident that they will. It's just getting based on his numbers that he was bringing in, he's doing very well. It's just about making sure he was aware of where the money was going, and that's very typical of small business owners. That
heck yeah.
you know one of the numbers,
yeah,
you know how much you're spending, or you know how much you're making, but you maybe don't always know the two, and that's an important number to know.
Last night, the Eclectic Shop, it was interesting to watch her face on the episode, Maria's face, when Robert tells her, you got to raise your prices. And, you know, she's dealing with a consignment situation, so it's kind of hard to go back to these people that you've been giving them 75% of their commission. And so there's a lot of things there. And when I interviewed her for the news story, it was still kind of confusing to her. Okay, yeah, we're talking to some. We have lost a couple because of but do you think they'll take your advice and go full bore with it?
I hope that they do, because the concept of her shop is a beautiful one. We love the fact that she's providing opportunities for local artists. You know, at Deluxe, we talk a lot about just her curation and the kinds of things that she carries. It's a beautiful shop, but we want her to be able to stay in business, and 25% margins just isn't sustainable. But I found it really hard to give her that advice, because they feel such a heart for their artists, you know. And we were never trying to, at least I was never trying to propose that you know, not be fair and equitable to your artists. But Robert had a point. You know, they're not paying for the bill. You know, they shouldn't be determining the prices. But that's just tough. Those are discussions between real people, and she has a relationship with them. And so I just found that hard, because I knew how difficult those discussions would be for her with the artists.
All right, now let's move to Ellen's and Lisa. And, you know, one of the main players in getting a lot of this done was her husband, Steve Downs. And all of a sudden now she's putting her heart out there and talking about, hey, you know, we got a money problem here, which has got to be tough for somebody like that to do all over the world. What advice can she take from what you've done to help build her business, other than hey, you got to get with some other people and make this a bridal place? I mean, what if that never happens? Can she be successful being alone?
I think so. You know, we did some research when we were down here, and there are at any given time 1,600 weddings happening within a 60-mile radius, and that's a lot. So there's market share here, and so she has the ability to gain more of that market share, or there's market availability. She has the opportunity to gain more of the share. So we think it's very sustainable. It's just about it's as simple as being able to be found online. And she had a good website, but there were just things that we could do to make sure that people could find her when they're searching for things around wedding, or when they're on social media and they're looking at different dresses or whatever it happens to be. But, you know, being findable online now is equitable to having a sign outside your business. People have to be able to find you.
All right, Thriftalicious. I mean, what a heart-wrenching story. I mean, you've got a young couple, and, you know, they talk about how they left home at 16, and I actually DJ'd their wedding. So I remember when they got married. Interesting start to their life. It rained the day that they had this planned, so they had to do it indoors, and we did it at the Knights of Columbus. And so they didn't have this all. I was going to be the DJ for the post-wedding, but they needed music for, like, when he walked down the aisle. I'd never heard of that before. And so she goes, what do you have for him? I mean, this is the bride asking me this. I'm waiting to DJ, you know, the chicken dance later on. And she goes, what do you have for him? And I looked at him, and I had never really met him. I go, I got the Mario Brothers theme song. And she goes, that's perfect.
I was going to say that's perfect.
I didn't even know their life. I didn't know. He just looked like Mario, you know, to me. But anyway, so we played that. Anyway, they're a sweet couple. They're great people, have a heart of gold. It just blows my mind that they can live on, number one, the business they chose, you know, and number two, the income. I think a lot of people have said that after that show. What are we going to do with those guys? Are they going to be on their way? How's it going with them?
I think we wish them the absolute best. I mean, we fell in love with all the business owners, but you meet Tracy and Aaron and you just have a special place in your heart for them. They're neat people. Their kids are so great. They're just a beautiful family. And that's why we really felt like it would be irresponsible not to provide some sort of option to them that could be more reliable. I mean, I know I said that a lot in the episode, but it was our responsibility to do everything we could to help. And so we felt like something more reliable would be helpful. But I talked to them last night, and they talked about how they're really trying to narrow their focus, and they're trying to, get to know their numbers. So I feel like we at least help set them up for success within that business model, and I think it'll be up to them to just continue to do that. And I think it was helpful for people in town to hear their story and to understand what they're trying to do there. It's easy to look at people from afar and maybe create your own opinions, but when you know the real truth about things, I think it just helps you identify with people, I think, a little better.
All right, we got to talk about Matt Haynes at Filament Tattoo. What a wild man. I call him Wild Man just because he's just so out there, but he's got a gregarious personality. He's a great guy, former pastor, obviously has a heart for God and for family and everything. They've adopted children, and they're good people. And then you look at him and you go, but he's a tattoo guy, and he's got tattoos everywhere. He's probably just mean, I think that stigma's changing in America. But so what's going to happen with him? How has your advice helped a tattoo parlor in Wabash, Indiana?
Yeah, there's something about Matt where I feel like this isn't going to be the last business he starts. He's just got this entrepreneurial spirit to him. And so I think this was about making sure that a tattoo was, again, more findable online and things like that. But it was also about teaching him some of the tools for success in starting businesses. He didn't have a website, which is about half of small businesses don't,
right.
But you need one. And so just making sure that he even understood. He's got the charisma and from what we saw, the business sense to run a business, but you have to kind of have that third pillar. You have to, be marketing your business as well. And so, we just wanted to equip him with that as well as a tattoo parlor. But we had just never seen, even the word parlor feels wrong for that space and that vibe that he's trying to create. He's trying to create this spirit of positivity. You walk in, it's so clean and bright, and it's just, I've never seen anything quite like that in the tattoo space. It feels like a studio or a tattoo salon. And so there's something neat about that. And then we knew people would identify with this kind of cloth to ink journey. And as a Christian myself, I think it's really neat to see someone who is trying to meet people where they're at. I feel like so often people are turned away from religion or spirituality or faith because it feels too judgmental to them, and nobody likes to be judged. And so to create an environment that's almost the opposite of that, there's just something really neat about that, and I think people see that. So
yeah, Amanda Brinkman's with us from Deluxe. I promise you I'll get you out of here here in just a couple of minutes. We have one to talk about, and that's Slumber Brothers. And, we see Slumber Brothers, and we hear that they're in Greentown, and we hear they have a beautiful place downtown. And when we have the downtown holiday night to remember, the windows are just gorgeous and all that. Didn't realize the struggle they have between April and October or whatever those months are in there. And so they got into the grilling, the grill business and all of that. But yeah, I mean, the majority of their money comes in the winter months, obviously. So how do you help a business that's been around for 100 years? I mean, what advice can you give those guys?
That one felt, we loved that they had been in business for 100 years, and we certainly love how much employment they have provided to Wabash over those years. But you sit across the table from Kent, and he is a good business owner. He knows his business. He cares about his employees. And then we're just sitting there, fly into town, and we're going to give this guy advice. I mean, clearly they know they've been in business for so long, they know what they're doing. But it was very typical that, the way Chris got the job on the retail side is, I think at one point Kent said, who's the most familiar with, computers? And Chris said, me. And then he picked Chris for lots of other reasons too. But that is how stuff happens in small businesses. It's not like you have this opportunity or this luxury to go and recruit someone who has deep retail merchandising experience. Like, that's not a thing. Like, it's who can fill this space. And so for us to be able to set them up to be successful in that retail space, which isn't necessarily or the way you need to do retail now isn't necessarily a part of their legacy, it just felt good because now they can marry the two things. They already know the legacy. They have that service thing down pat, which is their differentiator. got this great heritage brand. They've got a wonderful employee in Chris. I mean, that guy is just through and through an amazing person. And so if we could just provide them with a little bit of training to help close that gap, it feels like that will, help them be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Amanda Brinkman, you're awesome, man. We love Deluxe.
Oh,
no, I mean, we love Deluxe. And I was telling Julie, every time I see her, and even this morning we were Facebooking back and forth messaging, just thank you from Wabash for what you guys have done. The world is now aware of Wabash, and I mean the world is aware of Wabash, and now Wabash is going to be very aware of what you're doing. And I know the people of Wabash, we can't wait to help the finalists get to where they're going to be going, and then the winner as they go through this journey with you guys. So again, give us the timeline. It's so exciting. I'm getting chills. Another city is going to get what we got, and that's awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited too. But I have to. Can I tell you a secret?
Yes, please.
Although I suppose we're on the radio, so it's only
we're good. Only a few thousand.
I want to share a secret with all of Wabash, and one of the things is that we're kind of afraid. How do you sequel Wabash? I mean, you guys are amazing. We know there's another great town out there, lots of other great towns out there, but we're just afraid it won't. There was just something so special about this journey and so special about this summer, and we're a little scared of how do you do that again? How do you replicate it? So I only have one child, so I like to think of it like parents do of two children. Like, you love your children in different ways. You love them both. So, but we're a little nervous that it won't be Wabash. So anyway, okay. So now
nice secret.
Yeah, nice.
I like the secret. I thought it was going to be a good, juicy secret, but no, I'm just teasing. That's great. No, and you know what?
I can tell you other juicy secrets, I guess.
I want those. Matt and Tanya said the same thing last night. I don't know how we're going to get another city like Wabash. I mean, just the way it is and the community feel for it, but you will. And hopefully, personally, for you guys' sake, as a marketing company, that it'll be a different kind of story, and it'll be something else that another city can relate to. Because no, you're right, nobody's Wabash, but there will be a lot of others like the city you're going to choose. So it'll be another good story for you guys, and you'll figure it out. I know you will. And Flow Nonfiction, they're freaking ridiculously awesome.
Aren't they great?
Yeah, they've been great.
They're so cool. We were talking about this last night. They are a documentary company, and it was so important in our first year to pick a company that knew how to do storytelling when we were doing these 100 stories. And I remember we had a lot of discussions then when the idea was evolving into a show. I mean, they don't produce shows typically, right? Documentaries are a different formula. There's different tropes. It's a whole different way of producing something. But we wanted that documentary feel meeting kind of the reality show format, but we wanted that authenticity and care and kindness that you see in documentaries and the softness of them. We didn't want that hard, fast reality piece. We wanted to borrow from the goodness of both. And I'm so glad that they did decide that was something that they could transition into, because my goodness, didn't they do a beautiful job with it?
Yeah, they did an awesome job. But they did so well. I can see these shows on network TV. Is there any possibility? I mean, are you guys talking to anybody, even if it's a small cable channel somewhere? Are you talking about that at all?
Yes, absolutely. So when we were out in New York, I met with a couple of different networks, and two that would be very good picks for it, but I won't name them because I'm about to say something a bit disparaging. So, one of the things that we heard was that they love the concept of the show. There is nothing exactly quite like that right now, and they love the quality of it. But they both kind of have this feedback, like, you need you need a little drama. You need a little tension. We need to hear people arguing. We need to see that moment where you kind of call someone on the carpet for something that they're doing wrong. And my goodness, my hands were sweating last night just with that scene when Robert's telling Maria to raise her prices.
Yeah.
And as I'm sitting next to him, I realized what that means in terms of her relationships with real people that she really cares about. That was about all I could handle in terms of drama, right? And they almost kind of, these networks almost kind of, they want people to look a little foolish. They want to have these dramatic fighting moments, and that's very typical of most reality programs. But I'll just never do that to this show. This was genuinely about helping people, and so I think the country is hungry for this kind of programming right now. I think people are hungry for just good, kind stories of hardworking Americans who are trying to do the right thing. And so I think, I do think it has potential to be on something more than just our site. And it'll be on Hulu. But I think it's going to take a while to find that right partner who wants to believe in the genuineness and the thoughtfulness of the concept. And so we'll just wait until we find someone like that, because I don't want to affect the quality of the concept.
Let's start your own network. Let's do it. Let's start our own little cable channel. What do you think?
There you go.
Now, we're already on the internet. That's big.
Yeah.
Small business revolution.
Just distribution's so different now,
It
right?
is,
I mean,
it
people
is.
consume so much online. We're seeing people watch the episodes. The thing that a network does for you is it's just baked in distribution. They have an audience. When they put something on their network, they advertise it automatically because they want to sell ad space.
Mm-hmm.
So we just feel like it's so good, more people need to see it, and so a broadcast partnership would just help us do that faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts? I appreciate you so much for coming in, man.
Oh, thank you.
It.
Yeah, thank you for having me. No, it's just, I don't know. We love it here. We love it here. So it's great.
When are you coming back?
Well, that's one of the questions I get a lot from people. I mean, not when you're coming back, but, how are things going for these businesses? And I've had to kind of explain to people, like, hey, some of these websites were finished at like 12:01 the morning before, the episode aired, or, here it's just, they just started serving the food and stuff. And so I think we need to give these businesses a while to see the impact of some of the marketing pieces and the business advice. But we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the progress and checking in regularly and kind of see how it's going. And then who knows, maybe there's some formal way that we'll share with the world how things are going. We're still kind of working on that, but we'll definitely be back to see how things are going.
Awesome. Beautiful inside and out, Amanda Brinkman.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.